Hey everybody, I'm here for Professionally Invested YA Excerpt blog as well as Fragment Friday. And today I'm going to be reading from XVI by Julia Karr. And below this video I have a link to Chapter 1 because I'm going to be reading from Chapter 2. So I figured you guys would like to read Chapter 1 and then go ahead and listen to Chapter 2. So, yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and start. Chapter 2. It was late September, blue sky, crisp air, not at all typical fall weather in Chicago. I wondered if this was how the country felt, clean and fresh. Sealed up in the express from Cementville to the city, you couldn't experience it. I glanced at Sandy, doubting she ever gave the weather a thought. Get the latest personal audio video, virtually invisible in your ear, compatible with any Omni-Pav receiver, only $29.95. Visit the dark side. Unless it mussed her hair or forced her to wear a coat over some new outfit. Let's walk. I took off down the street, Sandy next to me. On State Street, the verts were so constant and annoying they bombarded us from every store. Moon Shuttle Special, buy one ticket and a companion travels free Sunday through Thursday. Mars Burgers for a taste that's out of this world. Sandy and I talked via our pads so we could hear ourselves over the verts. We were plotting out the day's events when there was a loud bang, followed by two more. 3 trainees had slammed into each other right in the middle of the street. All the other traffic stopped. We clicked off our paths. Not one vert was blaring. There was total silence, which was more jarring than the crash of the accident. Sandy stared at me. Her eyes grew huge. For a moment, I thought she was going to cry. Instead, she whispered, "Non-cons." Panic clutched at my throat. I glanced around, looking for anyone out of the ordinary, but everyone appeared normal, except for their confused looks. The homeless guy slipping into the alley behind the media station barely registered in my brain. A man's voice spoke through the vert system. This moment of silence has been brought to you by the resistance. In quietness, people can think for themselves, which is just what the governing. A loud electronic screeching cut off the words, causing half the people on the street, Sandy and me included, to slap their hands over their ears. A dual trainee squealed up, and 2 men armed with toolkits jumped out and rushed over to the media station. Just when I thought I couldn't take the piercing tone any longer, there was a crackle, and then, "The end of Wars Extravaganza sale ends at midnight tonight. Don't battle for bargains. Shop Sale-O-Rama, where every deal is a good deal." Several police had arrived on the scene. Some were conferring with the media repairmen, while others questioned the drivers involved in the accident. I overheard one of them say, "Officer, I didn't know what to do. It was so quiet, all of a sudden, like. I figured it was some kind of emergency, so I hit the brakes." Traffic picked back up, and Sandy and I clicked our paths back on. Passing by the cops, I dipped my head down. Pretending to examine a spot on my jeans, I glanced down the alley where the homeless guy had disappeared. It was empty. 2 weeks ago, when Mom and I came into town, the same thing happened. Not the accident, but the silence. Sandy said, "It freaked me out then, too. Mom says it's happening more often." She frowned. "Damn non-cons. How dare they say that people don't think for themselves?" I wasn't about to say that I liked the silence, non-cons or not. The constant bombardment of verts really didn't give anyone a chance to think. Ginny always taught us that thinking for yourself is the most important thing. When I see how Sandy blindly follows whatever the latest media-induced frenzy is, I know my mom is right. But it's hard being the only person who thinks like me. Sometimes I wish I could just be like everyone else my age and not think at all. We were almost to Grants and Pops's, so I changed the subject. Pointing across the Chicago River at their building, I said, "The reflection's pretty cool, huh?" Sandy barely looked up. "Yeah, that broadcast better not have messed with this." She tapped the face out of her new Chronos all-in-one. "Says it's 11:30, the temperature is 62, and we're on the corner of LaSalle and Wacker." She squinted up at the street sign. "Guess it's okay." While we waited for the light to change, I stared at the shimmering wall of glass caused by sunlight bouncing off the water. It reminded me of a painting I'd seen on a field trip to the Art Institute. Inside, the lobby hardly resembled art. Subsidized housing for retirees and disability pensioners like Pops, decorated on the blech side of ugly and lifeless beige and gray. Standard government building colors. Grant often threatened to make a sneak attack on the lobby with a can of rainbow spray paint just to get some life in there. I wondered again, like I've done all my life, what our lives would have been like if Pops hadn't had that accident. He'd been on his way up tier, on his way to becoming corporate before it happened. Everything would be so much different. Maybe my dad would even still be alive. If only... Hey Nina, what planet are you on? Sandy tapped my shoulder. Lights changed. I shook my head back to reality, determined not to let myself get caught up in wishful, impossible thoughts. We hurried across the bridge. At the entrance, I flashed a cheesy grin into the security panel and put my hand on the auto, get the latest personal audio video, virtually invisible in your ear, compatible with any OmniPad receiver, only $29.99. Visit the dark side recognition pad announcing Nina Obron and guest. I grabbed Sandy's shoulders, pointing her face at the panel. She grinned too. Don't let me forget to buy a present for Gran and Pop's anniversary. I steered her into the revolving door and got into the next compartment. 38 years, I hollered through the glass. Before she could exit, I spun us around a couple more times. We finally whirled out the other side in a fit of laughter. Most of the time, Gran and Pops kind of pick at each other. You know, like those chickens at the zoo. I picked Sandy's sleeve and she smacked at my hand, giggling. But they really love each other. Just because people are married doesn't mean they're in love. If Ed loved his wife, he wouldn't be with your mom. Don't. I gave her a sideways glance. Sorry. She knew I hated Ed, more times than I could remember. Ginny would send me and Dee over to Sandy's when Ed was coming over. That way we hardly ever saw the full force of his rages, although I always had a front row seat for the aftermath. Mostly I did my best not to think about him, especially not about him and my mother, together. Anyway, Sandy said, my mom and Dad were in love. I remember how they used to laugh and dance around the house when I was little. Daddy would twirl Mom and then swoop me up with them. Her face darkened and she jabbed the outport button. Stupid forays. I thought I'd dodged the subject of non-cons after the Resistance's announcement. Guess not. I knew better than to say anything. Sandy's real dad had been a policeman. When she was 5, he and his partner were on a foray in the tunnels under the Chicago River searching for non-cons. Police had been tipped off that there was a pocket of the Resistance living in an underground city hidden in the ancient storm drains. An overflow door got jammed open, on purpose, the media said, and water poured into the room the cops were in. They all drowned. Ginny was sure it was a setup to make it look like non-cons were responsible. She knew they weren't killers. She might be right, but I'd never say that to Sandy. Besides, Ginny's just a cafeteria cashier at Core 7 Works. So how would she know something about non-cons that the rest of the world doesn't? That's the end of Chapter 2. I hope you guys enjoyed Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. XVI is out in stores now as a paperback, so it's only $9. And if you're looking for a really good dystopian, this is one. So, I can't wait to see everybody else's Fragment Fridays. Remember, you can put up all of your Fragment Fridays for this month in the Mr. Linky that is going to be on my blog. And I will be trying to go through all of them this weekend because I know I've been very bad about keeping up with those. So, yeah, so I can't wait to see everybody else's Fragment Fridays. Bye.